Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Howard. I'm a watch enthusiast. I don't work in the watch industry, but when I have time, I try to do watch reviews like these and share with everyone. So definitely, I'd appreciate it if you would consider subscribing and support the channel. So today, I'm taking a quick look of the Rolex Day Date 40 Everose Gold with Slate Ombre dial, which was a new release in 2024. This particular color is brand new for the Everose Gold. And previously, the Ombre dial was only available on the date 36 with diamond indexes. And 2024 was the first year the Ombre dial was available on the 40 and also available not just with the diamond indexes. Right now, we have the deconstructed Roman numeral and the index on this watch. So this color, as I mentioned, it's a Slate Ombre. So the Ombre dial basically is, you have a lighter color in the middle. In this case, you can kind of see it's a slate gray in the middle. Then it slowly gets darker. And as you hit to the edge of the dial, it sort of becomes black. And different Ombre dial colors are available for different different gold materials. For the rose gold, this is the slate one. For yellow gold, you have the green color ombre, and the white gold has a yellow. And I think for platinum also has a yellow. For the 36 millimeter though, if you're looking at the Everose Gold 36 millimeter date, it has the brown ombre dial, and the 40 millimeter here has the slate gray. First look is very nice. I mean, certainly a full gold, Everose Gold watch. It's a beautiful piece with the signature fluted bezel, president, bracelet. And previously, I think when people see the Everose Gold, one of the more popular colors, definitely the chocolate color. But the slate here definitely adds a little bit more darkness to the color. And because of the design, it gets darker and darker on the edge. And I think it's just a little bit different view. If you like, a single color, great. There are a lot of different options in the day lineup to choose from. But if you like something different, lighter in the center, darker black, lacquered basically towards the edge of the dial, this is potentially one to consider. I mean, as Rolex indicated on its website or press release, the manufacture of these dial with a concentric gradient involves the application of a black lacquer, a delicate operation overseen by a specialist whose task is to ensure the harmonious transition from color to darkness. I'm indoor today. Certainly the lighting is not the greatest, but I'm sitting next to a window without indoor lighting, try to get the most natural color possible. But again, depending on the angle, the view, here you can see a little bit more gray in the center, slightly sort of a slight sun ray light reflection in the center, then dark edges. So the case size is a 40 millimeter here. Although I do want to say the 329, as I measured it, if you look at the 329, 3 to 9 is only 39.2, and the 4 to 10, if you measure 4 to 10 marker, that is 40 millimeters. The bezel is 38.7, top of the bezel to bottom of the bezel. So it's a slightly tiny bit smaller than the actual case size of 40. The watch is obviously pretty thin. It's only 12 millimeters thick. If you add the Cyclops lens here, it will add additional 1.2. So the total height is 13.2 with the Cyclops lens. Lug-to-lug is a 47.1, very manageable, 47.1. It's a good size for a medium wrist like mine. Weight is slightly on the heavier side because this is precious metal. The case, the bezel, the bracelets are all made of 18K Everose gold. So it's 7.28 ounces or 206 grams. Definitely a little bit on the heavier side. One thing I like to point out is for the Ombre dial, including this one, it does not have the minute track. For the date watches, usually I'll put a photo here as well for a different color. There's a minute track right at the edge of the wall, but not for the Ombre. I wonder if it's because applying the black lacquer on the dial made it a little bit more difficult to put a track, but I'm not sure. So if you care about the minute track, the Ombre dial design may not be the best fit. As I mentioned earlier, this deconstructed Roman numeral is also the first time on a 40 millimeter date. Previously, obviously, the Ombre dial wasn't available. On 36 was only diamond studs or diamond indexes. So it's nice, to have these indexes on. These deconstructed, I'm definitely warming up to it more and more. When it first came out, I wasn't sure because, back in the days you have the entire dial with the full Roman numeral numbers. But here, you can see the 1 o'clock, the 5 o'clock, the 7, and the 9, 11. It's just one index stick instead of having the full number, which makes it a little bit less crowded looking at the dial, because if you have the full Roman numerals, definitely look a lot more busier. Certainly for other color options, you have the regular index with lume. I think that is one thing to consider. If you care about a lumed indexes, 40 millimeter date has some other color options that offer that. These are just a gold faceted numbers. The index doesn't have any lume at all. It also doesn't have the lume on the hours and the minute hands. Very nice looking. I mean, I feel like I said earlier, the black, slightly darker, certainly it's not the absolute best legible dial in terms of dial colors, especially if the lighting's not great, but it does add a little bit more, how do I say it? Feels a little bit more mature with a slightly darker dial versus, let's say, traditional chocolate. If you have a chocolate dial with this Everose pink, it just looks very pink everywhere. Beautiful president. So these are the president bracelet. It's the circular 3-link semicircular links that was created in 1956, when the date was introduced. So this president bracelet represent the ultimate in refinement and comfort. I think it's very comfortable to wear, kind of like the Jubilee, but also because it's a 3-link design, it also feels a little bit more sturdy, kind of like the Oyster. So let's get the best of the Oyster and Jubilee bracelet. Beautiful. In terms of the case polishing, certainly the fluted bezel is very shiny, polished. Shoulders of the lugs are polished. The side of the case is polished. Same on this side. There are 2 dots under the crown here. I think that signifies precious metal. For the bracelet, you got the satin on the side and a polished inner center. The signature concealed folding with a crown here, so you don't have the clasps like the other DJs or OPs. Beautiful. At the back end, basically, it's just a standard no marking back cover, and the back of the bracelet is satin finished. All right, a 40 millimeter date on my wrist. My wrist size is 6.5 inches, 16.5 centimeters. So I would say that's at the smaller end of a medium-sized wrist. But I think for 40 millimeters, it's doable. I mean, I personally prefer the 36 date for my wrist size, but 40s, it's definitely doable. As you can see, I have definitely about 5-6 millimeters of space here. Here, maybe 2 to 3. So it doesn't overhand my wrist at all. Because it's a 47 end-to-end, 47 lug-to-lug, it's totally doable. Right now, obviously, the bracelet is a little bit loose. If I tighten it up a little bit, that can kind of basically almost remove the gap at the end. Almost remove the gap at the end. Beautiful. 12 millimeter thick, not very thick at all. Usually fit under a shirt. Beautiful bracelet. I did want to say the weight is a little bit on the higher side, 7.28 ounces and 206 grams. Partially because the owner of this watch actually added an extra link, one extra link to the watch, because his wrist size is 8.25 inches, 21 millimeters. I think the standard bracelet without the extra link was a little bit too tight. And because of this design, no clasp, it's a concealed folding clasp. There's no easy adjustment like the traditional other bracelet, like the Datejust or OP. All right, here's a look of the watch from the outside. It's still cloudy, but the sun is peeking up a little bit from the clouds. Just want to see how it looks in the outside natural light. I mean, very shiny, obviously. Very nice. So the caliber for this watch is 3255. I think it's been out since 2005. And obviously it's super accurate, -+2 second per day. Power reserve is 70 hours and the water resistance is 100 meters and 330 feet. Very practical everyday use. One thing obviously about these precious metal watch is, they're a little bit more prone to scratches. And a lot of the polished surface, made scratches a little bit more noticeable even. So obviously the owner of this watch bought the watch, I think in November last year. But, he wears it pretty frequently every day. And, watches are meant to be worn, so I appreciate that. But just for, a few months, you can see for everyday use, there's some small scratches already very visible on the side of the case. And also on the center links, some of the areas you can see a bit more noticeable usage. I think that's the disadvantage of the polished surface, especially for precious metal. But so the price, if you got this one last year, good for you. The price was $43,200 plus tax in the US last year, but Rolex has just raised the price of this watch to $46,300, a 7.2% increase. So quite substantial, $3,100 increase from end of last year to beginning of this year. And the reference number is 228235-0055. Rolex Date 40 Everose Gold with Slate Ombre dial. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.